I'm absolutely delighted today to be able to welcome Anndy Lian. Andy is the Intergovernmental Blockchain Advisor and a best-selling book author. And Andy is going to talk to us today about the blockchain, about opportunities, interests, and also threats of it. And hopefully he will enlighten you over the next half an hour about what really can be done through this extraordinary technology. Andy.
Well, very good afternoon to everyone. My topic could be a bit, maybe more crypto, trying to tell you where would be a good place for you to get some good opportunities. So this is a large version of me, so what I am doing right now, and I actually wear quite a number of hats. I'm a best-selling author, wrote my first book in South Korean, and it has been a good seller. Recently, I launched another book about NFTs, basically to help my friends, all these friends in the banking sector, in the listed company, tell them what exactly NFT is. They should not be paying a lot of money to consultants just to launch an NFT. So that book itself is a very easy book just to get everyone going. I'm a licensed fund manager. I also talk a lot about fund structuring, like the previous speaker. But I'm trying my very best not to talk about them. I'm trying to move away, and I give advice to different governments. Right now, I wear a hat with the Mongolian government. I'm also an advisor to Bybit. So Bybit is the second largest derivatives exchange, but I'm speaking for myself because there's a lot of restriction being an exchange. I'm also an ex-board member to Hyundai, the car brand. We look at how we implement blockchain within their ecosystem, within their new blockchain as well. Other than that, I'm also an ex-advisor to Asian Productivity Organization, and I have a PhD in productivity science. So this is who I am. I'm just going to share things that are maybe a little bit faster, and then I was told that there will be more Q&A, but let's take a look. So there are, I look at 10 different trends, in my next few slides, If you look at it in the longer term, many people say that, let's invest in blockchain, right? It seems like you're just investing in a database. So sometimes it's not as sexy as you think, in our space. It's not as easy, to come out of your own blockchain layer 1 or layer 2, because there's a lot of things that you really need to look at, a lot of different nitty-gritty stuff that you really need to, commercialize it. And as you know, and to be very frank, a lot of these chains are not very sustainable. So I would love to put on a very much practical approach on some of the things that I'm saying right now. So lack of understanding, what cryptocurrency is and how it works, would be my first point. We look at different coins. There are a few thousands, if not a lot more. Some can be found on CoinMarketCap. Some are not on CoinMarketCap. So there are many of these, but there's a lack of understanding, in the maybe a traditional finance space, what exactly is cryptocurrency and how it works. If you do not understand that, it's very hard for you to put in your own money. Whether it's from a family office or whether it's a traditional VC fund, you might not relate it too well. So this is one thing. The other thing is extremely volatile. How Bitcoin was maybe a couple of years ago, $6,000. Right now, perhaps about $27,000. It's very volatile. You need to do a lot of research. You need to understand what kind of coin you're buying. I just came back from Dubai. I had another meeting with a group of people from Germany. They're all family officers. Wow, they really thought that there's only Bitcoin and Ethereum, in the ecosystem. But then when I started to show them what else is in the ecosystem, what other things you can look at in the ecosystem, they say, oh, okay. You know, anyway, that event is very well done. You know, Boris Becker, the ex-tennis player, was also there, you know, to share their experience and so forth. So I think that portion, you know, of crypto being volatile got to be understood in a greater sense. You know, not just from the news. Again, we need to look at research, analyst paper, and so forth. There's also a lack of regulatory framework. You know, I started to give advice to various government in 2018. You know, back then, you know, it's very difficult to talk to the government. They would think that, hey, Andy, why are you here, man? Are you trying to sell something? I'm saying, I'm not here to sell something. In fact, I was trying to tell them that, you know, look at the technology. You know, because back then, if you tell them about cryptocurrency, they will walk away. You know, and I represent a government organization. They will say, okay, tell me about blockchain. How is it going to be innovative? How is it going to change some of the things that we are doing? So of course, during that time, you know, we will talk about supply chain. You know, we will talk about how things can be connected to the IoT devices, how you can look at automation, you know, Industrial 4.0 within their own manufacturing plant. So these are some of the topics that they talk about. But again, you know, there's a back then, you know, government is very skeptical because there are too many scams. Too many scams. Taxation, you know, is very uncertain. You know, in some places in Singapore, it's not very certain. In other places, you know, if you are going to places like South Korea, for example, you know, it's still uncertain because they have not enforced it. You know, and to be very honest, there's no way. Maybe I would not say there's no way, but it's harder for them to keep track of your earnings. You know, in some of the exchanges in the European side, it is compulsory. You know, whenever you do a trade, you know, whenever you have a gain, you will be automatically linked back to your taxation system. But not all countries are like this. You know, there's security risk. You know, there's a lot of hacking going on. You know, every other day you will see some hack. Right now, this morning when I woke up, you know, there's one coin which is called SafeMoon. You know, they got hacked. You know, about 9 million was gone just in minutes. So there's a lot of such risks. You know, transactions are irreversible. You know, that's also another thing that people are always talking about. You know, once the transaction is complete, there's no way for you to get it back. You know, even if you send in the wrong place. There's a lot of scalability issues. Of course, in today's context, many other new chain, new EVM, other scaling solutions are there, but again, it's still not there yet. There's also lack of a merchant adoption. You know, you will see on the newspaper say, oh, Starbucks is having a royalty card, so-and-so merchant is using accepting crypto payment. These are just small news. You know, you don't really see that in Singapore, to be honest, right? If you go to Bangkok, for example, maybe a lot of us would think that, oh, Bangkok is maybe a bit laid back. But if you walk to all the different cafes, you can actually see Bitcoin accepted, right? But of course, again, to be very honest, as an investor myself, I will not use my Bitcoin to buy a cup of coffee. You know, there's always many different ways to do that. So the lack of merchant adoption is also a small problem, you know, for what we see right now. Network congestions. You know, you will see big projects, you know, coming up. It could be a Solana project, you know, for example, an Arbitron project. You know, when they launch, there's huge volume of people transacting on the blockchain, and the network could be down. You know, then you might be asking, why would the blockchain be down? But again, there's a lot of different factors to contributing to that kind of outcome. And there's, of course, a lack of trust in the digital currency. You know, many of my friends in the banking space, they will still think that, you know, Bitcoin is a scam. You know, let's not do that. But surprisingly, you know, I was being invited again to Dubai. You know, I was meeting some of these UBS clients, you know, in the MENA region. Some of the big family offices, they are already allocating 10 to 15% of their entire AUM into crypto or blockchain related kind of activities. So these are things that are really happening, you know, and I met them 2 weeks ago, you know, when I was in Dubai. So there's a lot of activities going on, but there's still a lack, you know, not enough. You know, perhaps that few family offices are more ahead of time. They want to put in more money. Well, that's how it is. Those are the boring stuff, right? You know, what do we do? You know, what are the risks and so forth? These are the boring stuff. You know? But maybe there are also many different opportunities in the space where you could make some money from cryptocurrency. You can make some decent investments from cryptocurrency. So let's take a look. Well, the simplest way, you have crypto saving. You know, on top I put 2 examples on Binance, Bybit. Of course, you still need to get around the system, how you're going to do the saving. But saving typically is you just put your cryptocurrency there, you get a very stable return. The return might not be big. You know, again, it really depends on what kind of pairs that you have. But in general, savings are a bit more safe. You know, you will get a very decent return, definitely more than the bank. Again, I'm not here to do publicity, so you got to Google on your own. I look at protocol tokens, you know, Algorand, Avalanche, Layer 1 projects, because I felt that when we look at investment, you know, when we look at blockchain, for example, Layer 1 are actually the base foundation. You know, so if you want to invest as a VC or as a family office, you should really look at some of these Layer 1 projects or some of these maybe even Layer 2 projects, because they set a certain foundation, they set up the groundwork, they lay out the roads for you. So these are kind of safer options that personally I think would be beneficial for some of you. Application token, you know, I placed an example about Uniswap, Sushi Swap, and so forth. You know, this can be like a debt token, you know, like a decentralized debt token. It can be maybe a more familiar word would be like a DeFi token, right? Or DeFi protocol token. You know, so that could also be a way to get some interest. You know, when you look at DeFi, it is just sometimes not really sustainable, but to be real honest, it really depends on when you go in and when you decide to come out. The reason why it's not sustainable, you know, just allow me to say a few more things, is that many of the people that I know, you know, they put in huge amount into a DeFi token, and they think that, you know, the price is always going to be pumped, right? They don't really care. But to be very honest, you know, from many of you are you know, licensed manager, you run your own fund, you got to set your own target, you know, when do you want to realize it. If you can set a certain decent target and realize it, you might not be getting yourself into a very terrible stage, you know, where you over-project yourself, you look at the outcome too optimistically, you know, just to be safe. That could reduce some risk on everybody's end. Staking, you know, many of us, you know, get to know about staking. You know, when you look at some of the recent news about Campden, you know, stopping their service in US for staking, they have been fined $30 million for staking. So staking needs a bit of a skill, you know. But to be very honest, staking can also be a very stable form of income as you really look at how the ecosystem is being done. If you know what exactly the community and what the protocol is running, actually staking can be a very straightforward investment for family offices. Kind of, well, maybe lack of a better word, you know, could be like even something like a fixed deposit to some extent. You know, if you manage it well. Yield farming, you know, it's a process in the DeFi space that allows users to earn tokens by providing liquidity. So this is also another way that you could look at. You provide the money, you provide the liquidity, in return you get some of these tokens. COMP, compound, a lot of these tokens are around. And to be honest, I think yield farming is also of a slightly lesser risk, if you look at the overall portfolio, because you can really see the trends. You can really see what's actually happening, within the liquidity pool. So if you have a good quant team, you have a good market making team, professional team to watch your books, I think this could also be a very good option that you can look at. Crypto stocks and other crypto securities. There are several publicly traded securities that have provided this exposure, for the crypto space. So these are also some hybrid kind of products that you can look at. Exchange traded products, it could be an ETP product, it could be an ETF product. I do a lot of work, within the Kazakhstan regime. So you see big players like Bitfinex, for example, they are there, looking at various securitized products. And of course, I'm not sure how much I can say of what's on the news. They are also looking at commodities, crypto commodities. So things are just going to change, Bitcoin proxy stock, the more familiar name that you have would be from MicroStrategy. So these are publicly traded Bitcoin mining firms, providing a significant, product within the space. So we invest in the future. We are not here just to look at some of these products that are already here. We want to invest in the future. My talk in Dubai was to really tell them what is really decentralized. What kind of decentralized product you can invest in, or you can put your time and some money in. Because not all products right now that you see in the space is decentralized. So if you want to invest, my humble opinion is look at things that are more forward. Some people are talking about Web3, because they felt that the Web3 space is decentralized. But I think that direction is correct. You go for the decentralized outlook. You look at something that's more forward-looking, and Web3, for example, or decentralized ecosystem, for example, there are ways to really get in early right now. Not only from an investment standpoint, but also in the whole ideology standpoint. How are you going to go in? Which part are you going in? Is it just purely an NFT, or are you looking at the metaverse ecosystem, for example? So my slide is this: you don't own Web3. The VCs like myself and the LPs own it. This is not from me, but it's by Jack Dorsey. You will never escape their incentive. It's ultimately a centralized entity with a different label. This is really true. If you look at some of these decentralized protocol, for example, like even Uniswap, there's a huge percentage that is run and controlled by the VCs. And if you look at the slides behind me, this was done earlier this year when I had a chat. Again, also in Dubai, is Web3 decentralized. Out of the 300 participants, 59% of them think that no. I'm quite glad that they say that, because they actually know their stuff. So my narrative is this: if you are just looking at what you look at right now, which is Web3 decentralized, I will just throw this concept in the space. So Web3 is the first generation of decentralized web. I think we all know about them. But I'm looking at something that is a bit more crazy, and we call it Web 4. Web 4 is something that is not a very common term, but in principle, we want it to be more decentralized. We can say that it's the second generation of what we see right now. it's more adaptive, but ultimately it's more decentralized. When it's more decentralized, it becomes more fair, right? And Web 4 to us, and to some of my friends, is a new way to re-decentralize, to redefine what decentralization is all about. Advantages are very similar to Web 3, but in a more enhanced manner. Greater security, more resistant, more open, more transparent, and it's not just going to be controlled by a few VCs, for example. It is more frictionless. Let's not talk about what chain is going to be on. Everything will be compatible. Then the gas fees and the transaction fees, that you see right now on Web 3 will just be a thing in the past. Things can just transact more effectively. Then you will see a more circular economy. We have the physical and the digital goods. That kind of formula will be a bit more obsolete. We hope to bring decentralized economy into what we see right now in the space. It's symbolic, so humans and machines will start to talk. And again, where are the opportunities? We all look at where we can get in, right? So I see that personalized experiences will be a big thing. Content will be very much tailored. AI will be helping us to look at the consensus mechanism, helps to improve efficiency, to help us with some of this work that we are doing right now in the Web3 space. You will see new revenue streams, targeted advertising, using data that we have collected and shared willingly from the consumer to share the data to make some revenue together. I would like to say this, that Web3, you control the machine to get you the money. But if you look at a more decentralized narrative, I hope to see that machines control machines to get you more money. That could be very idealistic, but I felt that it's something that is fairly doable. And then the same topic, when I was talking to the German family officers, is that if you can have a more decentralized protocol, decentralized layer, maybe it's Web 4 or Web 3.5 or something, you will then see Industrial 4.0 in the full automation mode. Machines in a very high-end factory, they can talk to each other, but perhaps there's no trust. So blockchain or decentralized layer can be that layer to create the trust among the machines and the human. And again, that's also something more idealistic and it's win-win. You see a decentralized ecosystem in the metaverse, in the AR and VR space. You'll see real decentralized apps and economy. The DAO mechanism that you always hear on the paper, it will change. And I like to say that we bring the power back to the users. That is the true essence of what you see and what you would like to see in the Web3 space. Trust me, I'm not the only creative guy in the space. When we talk about Web 4, I write a lot of different articles. I talk about different opinions that I have. So Jack Dorsey talked about Web 5, I'm one web behind him. He mentioned this in the conference last year. And then of course our very dear friend from Tron and now the advisor to Mobi, he talked about Web 6 and Snoop Dogg echo Web 6 as well. I think the narrative is we want it to be more decentralized. We need to find a way to redefine decentralization. And then Web 4 is a chance for us to do that. So these are some of the articles that I've written. I'm always writing new content and so forth. Op-eds like things like what we are missing in Web 3. I think these are all good content, food for thought for people who are looking at investing in the future. Of course, I also have some articles which is more popular, but also unpopular because I talk about wash trading. I talk about how NFTs, marketplaces are just too unreal. People are just going to the marketplaces not because of the product, but they are there to rip off more incentive. So if you search under my name, you'll find a lot of these articles as well. well backed by statistics, and some of the statistics will be really amazing because you will realize that at a certain point in time, more than 95% that you see in the market are wash trades. So again, if there's more decentralization, I think that portion can be really reduced. Last but not least, I think Web 4 is here to stay. It will start soon. You help to reform, revalue, and re-decentralize what we are thinking of decentralization right now. So with that, this is my contact. Happy to look at new ideas, exploring new things. From an innovation standpoint, because I spend a lot of time in the industry. Giving advice to exchanges, which are very practical. Then I look at the governments; they're more practical. So sometimes, a conference like this is a good let go for me to speak to people, something a little bit more creative. Because if I tell the government about Web 4, they would think that, hey man, Andy's crazy, But I just love to have some food for thought, some sharing session. And if you have any questions, please, just ask. Happy to answer if there are any.
Great, Andy. Thank you very much indeed for sharing your sort of wisdom and your knowledge in this extraordinary universe. Anybody got any questions for Andy? Everybody's up to speed on Web 4? Does anybody here believe that Web 4 is going to become a reality? Of course. How soon?
Yes, we have to start now. I think it's not too late to start, and to be very honest, we are very early in the digital asset space. I don't want to put too much fluff to the whole reply, but to be very honest, if you speak to the right people, you will get the right kind of knowledge. If you go to places, for example, in Dubai, for example, you see a lot of intelligent people, but also at the same time, you see a lot of people who are trying to make a quick buck. So if you understand the basics, you will have a very smooth journey in your investment cycle, within the crypto space. And again, the space is very young. There's a lot of things that can be developed. I think the Web3 guys right now should really learn from the traditional finance. Some good things about the traditional finance. And again, this is just a very smooth journey for everybody. And I hope that the transition, into the crypto space will be a lot easier. If you go to listen to more talks, do your own research and make your own wise decision.
You made an interesting comment earlier in your talk about a lot of the big family offices that you come across in the Middle East, the MENA region, allocating 20% plus of their portfolio to cryptocurrencies. That is not something that we've been seeing yet, but I do know that Dubai environment is cryptofied now. Probably an unfair question, but I'll ask it to you anyway because I think it's just an interesting observation.
Sure.
When do you think Bitcoin will go to over 100,000?
I think hitting 100,000 is 100% doable. But I think perhaps if you are really lucky, maybe in about one year's time, really, if you're really lucky, and then the other day another analyst on Twitter was saying that it's going to be $1 million, right, per Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'm not saying $1 million, but a number of people are now talking quite actively about Bitcoin going above 100,000. Do you think within 12 months?
Yes, within 12 months, if you are really lucky. That would be something that is very collectible, very possible. But the reason why I mentioned about 1 mil is that that's just way too stretched. If it's 1 mil, I think some of our friends here will be even richer than maybe 5 Bill Gates added together, right? So I think we got to be realistic. So 100,000, yes. Coming back to the point about the MENA region, how family offices are locating more. So last year when I was in Dubai, most of them are looking at just 5%. This year when I'm there, I met up with 4 of them. In fact, in theory, should be considered 5 of them. One is a multi-family office. So 5 of them. The lowest, the smallest AUM is about 15B. And that guy was telling me, I'm going to allocate 10%. Oh, it's a huge amount, you know. But to be very honest, very, very honest, number one, I believe they have the money. That's number one. Because it's being recommended by one of the biggest banks in the US. The managing director was in front of me. 100% they have the asset. But whether or not they can invest 1B into the space is not possible. It's very tough, which means you are literally buying up everything and everyone who comes to your office and say, hey, I have a proposal, you know, let's do that, you know. Of course, you can say that, you know, you will be spread between secondary market, primary market, and then some other investment schemes, but it's still going to be tough. Because in order for them to deploy that amount, I see many people nodding their head, deploy that amount, it's going to be tough. Because some of these projects are not even worth 100 million, you know. So, in market cap wise, you know. So, in order for them to put in that amount, it's not possible. But I like the tone of it. Because they are thinking beyond what their peers are talking about. You know, most of them 5%, I think at max. You know, but the reason why I flew down with the private bank is that they told me that, you know, their clients are looking at new products. Green Bitcoin, for example. Green Bitcoin from renewable sources. They are able to sell at a premium. You know, right now it could be 28,000. They might be selling at an auction or selling at a spot price that's a lot higher because it's being tagged green. You know, banks like ESG products. You know, they can do a lot of packaging. You know, then they talk about very creative basket products, index products. Things are changing. The people are changing. You know.
So, okay, we may have heard it here first. So would you be recommending not investing into Bitcoin, but investing into green Bitcoin?
That's a very tough question. I think, you know, for green Bitcoin, there's definitely a narrative. You know, banks, ESG, they all like that narrative. You know, but just to be very honest, you know, from a fellow investor standpoint. If you are looking at a more volatile product, you know, you should really look at things that are more exciting. You know, so maybe investing into altcoins, you know, alternative coins, or some people in the industry they call it shitcoin. It gives you more return. To be very honest, you know, you just look at this. Bitcoin is 28,000. I love Bitcoin. Because it's recorded, I really love Bitcoin. But also at the same time, you know, but the upside is that, you know, perhaps the next run it goes to 69,000 and Dominic was saying 100,000. That's it, right? But you are putting in quite a lot of capital into the investment. If you invest into a new blockchain, for example, that I'm telling you, you could be putting $10,000. You know. Well, it sounds like Andy is trying to get you to gamble, right? Yes, you know, bet on the right horses. You know, you might get very good returns. It could be 10x, 100x. You know, there's possibility. You know, so whenever someone will approach me, you know, whether it's a sovereign wealth fund, you know, I'll tell them, no, you know, you have things that are stable. You know, is it okay if you take out like that small percentage? Just to put in some of this coin, they say it's cool. You know, some of them really listen. You know, I can't mention who. You know, they put in a mining company, they make money. Listed companies, sovereign wealth fund, they make money. The reason is you have to have some guts. You know, of course, not putting 1B of guts into the space, but just a little bit. Try. You know, you might get very extraordinary results. You know?
So what I'm hearing as we close is that you are recommending diversification over concentration?
Yeah, 100%. You know, but when we talk about diversification, because there's tons of coins out in the space, you just got to do your research. There's so many coins out there apart from Bitcoin. You know, there are things that are really upcoming in the phase, like arbitrage, for example, now it's really hot. You know, but that should not be the end goal. You have to find the next gen. You know, every day I wake up, I'm very excited. Find the next gen. You know, find the next gen. Find the next 100x. You know, that's how we push ourselves. You know, how we turn ourselves from what we are doing right now in the comfort zone to something that is more exciting. You know, do more research. You know, so I think diversification would be definitely the way to move forward.
Anyone has any other questions? Okay. Andy, thank you very much indeed for sharing your wisdom in the audience. Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.